Welcome to another HBAR update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our Discord server where we post multiple times a day. And yeah, many of you have been requesting a video about HBAR, so I think it's time to do it. So HBAR is actually holding up quite well, which is a bit concerning because we might get a huge correction very soon. There's something weird about the altcoins that don't go down when the other altcoin market is. And these altcoins usually tend to go down when the other altcoins are going up, so we'll see if that happens. I mean, this looks like an ABC structure, so the low could be in right here, but I cannot confirm that until we actually get a break above this high right here, which is at about 39 cents or so. So we'll see if that happens or not. As you can see, we touched the support level, the 0.226 support level multiple times, well actually 3 times. And yeah, the low could be in, but if we somehow get to the 0.382 extension, don't be surprised, because here, I mean, after we got the second wave move down right there, and after we went below the 0.786 support level, which was bearish at that time, we actually went up about, let's see how much actually, 800% in a matter of a month. So if we get a big correction right now, it would be normal. However, if we don't, then I'm still expecting a third wave of the third wave very soon. And we'll see how soon, because, you know, the altcoin season is just around the corner, so maybe it will be next month or in February. Doesn't matter, to be honest with you. What matters is that HBAR is actually looking very good right now. I mean, of course it's looking good, it went up like 10x. And I know there are some people asking me if they should buy up here, and my answer is obviously no. Because, you know, if you look at the weekly chart, I mean, the RSI is overbought. Yes, we have cooled off, but this is not enough. And keep in mind, this chart had a 800% move to the upside in a matter of 29 days. So if it gets a bigger correction than this right here, it would not surprise me. However, you have to keep in mind that if Bitcoin dominance starts dropping soon, we might never get that correction until, let's say, May or so of next year. So we'll see what happens with this. Now let me talk about the Elliot wave count again, and I'm talking about, let's say, the weekly Elliot wave count. So in the previous cycle, we formed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup, and that formed a first wave move. The bear market was some kind of ABC to the downside, and after the bear market we formed a 1-2 setup, and right now we are working on the third wave for the 1-2 setup. Now the minimum target for the third wave is 56 cents, that's the 200% extension of the 1-2 setup right here. However, we could get above that very easily because, you know, the first wave of the third wave already got to like 40 cents. Now maybe you could zoom in on this chart somehow and count 5 waves here. Maybe this right here was the first wave and this was the second wave or something, and we are already in the third wave of the third wave. I don't know if that's the case, to be honest. It's really hard to predict these moves and it's really hard to count the waves on a chart that goes up this much in a matter of like 29 days. So yeah, I will be able to give you a correct wave count once we actually get a bigger correction, and if the price continues to go up, then I'm not going to be able to give you the perfect wave count that you need. I don't think anybody is able to give you that, to be honest with you, just because it's really difficult to count waves during the bull market, and also if an altcoin wants to go up like 10x, then the wave count is not really going to care about that. I think the best way to count the Elliot wave count is the monthly chart right now. This is actually looking a lot better because this is looking like a 1, 2, 3 setup. So if we get rejected at the 200% extension right here, that could be the end of the third wave. But like I said, it could overextend to the 2.272 extension or the 2618 extension. So we'll see what happens with that. Oh, and let me continue with the Elliot wave count that I was talking about. So here we have a 1-2 setup, and right now we are working on the third wave. Now, of course, in this cycle, we will not complete the third wave up here. That's not possible. In this cycle, we will only complete the first 5 waves of the first wave of the main third wave up there, which means that the next bear market will be an ABC down. Now, of course, this will only happen if we actually get 5 waves in the cycle. If we get 3 waves, that will not be that bullish, to be honest, and I don't really know what will happen after that. this needs to be a 5-wave move to the upside, so we'll see if we get that. If we don't get a 5-wave move to the upside, then I will not be able to confirm that this is actually the low for the second wave move down, which means that in the next bear market, even if we get to new all-time highs, there is a chance that HBAR drops below the low right here, which would not be good, obviously. So yeah, now if you look at the monthly chart, HBAR is already overbought, which is not surprising, it went up like 10x. But if you compare what's happening right now to what was happening in the previous cycle, things are actually looking very similar. So as you can see, in the previous cycle, we also were overbought up here, and the price of HBAR was at about 13 cents or so. And as you can see, we were overbought on the monthly. And look at what happened after that. We went down to about 7 cents, and then the pump continued. And we still went up to about 50 cents during that time. So yeah, the monthly chart being overbought does not really mean anything right now, especially at the beginning of an altcoin season. So I'm still expecting the altcoins to go up a lot very soon. Now, why am I saying that? Well, I hope you watched my previous videos, because I'm not gonna explain this like I did in these videos. What you need to know is that every single cycle has been the exact same. So about 240 days after the halving, in every single cycle, Bitcoin dominance started dropping. It did right here in 2020, as you can see, exactly 240 days after the halving. That was the top for the Bitcoin dominance chart, and it started going down. And in 2016, it's the exact same thing. 230 days after the halving, that confirmed that the top was in, and that was it. That was the beginning of the altcoin season. This was the first altcoin season ever. And in this cycle, we are doing the exact same thing again. There has been about 240 days since the 2024 halving, and Bitcoin dominance is already starting to go down. Now, like I said, there is a chance that Bitcoin dominance hits a new cycle high by the end of December, and then we start going down in January. But even if that happens, it's not going to change anything. I'm still expecting Bitcoin dominance to start dropping very soon, just because that's what we did every single cycle. And in the previous cycle, we actually got to the 0.618 extension of the previous all-time high, and then we got rejected, and that was it. And right now we did the exact same thing. We got to the 0.618 extension, and what do you know? We got rejected by it. We went down. Right now it seems like we want to retest it, and after we retest it, we will most likely get rejected again, and that will trigger the altcoin season. So if HBAR went up about 10x when Bitcoin dominance went down like 6% or so during this time right here, imagine what happens when Bitcoin dominance goes down like 10% in a matter of a month or so. Imagine what happens when Bitcoin dominance gets to about 40%. If this right here was crazy, you're not gonna believe what will happen right here once Bitcoin dominance starts doing this. So things are about to get insane in my opinion, and it's only a matter of time until we get a big break to the downside on the Bitcoin dominance chart, in my opinion. Now, this is not financial advice, but keep in mind, if you look at the weekly chart, we went to the overbought territory, and we don't often do that. We did that right here, but here it was still going up. However, if you look at what happened in the previous cycle, when we got to the overbought territory on the weekly, right here, this confirms that the top was in. I'm not saying that we will do what we did in the previous two cycles, but it's very likely that we will because, well, everything is pointing to that. Now, I also want to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently getting a correction, and I'm still expecting Bitcoin to hit about 120k by the end of the year. I know that's a bold prediction, but keep in mind, Bitcoin went to the oversold territory on the 4-hour chart, and the last time that happened was literally down here at about 59k. And look at what happened after that. Bitcoin slowly started going up, then it actually hit another low, and then after that we went from 58k to about 108k in a matter of 2 months. So yeah, I believe Bitcoin will get to 120k by the end of the year. I might be wrong, who knows, but keep in mind, this happens every single halving year. Bitcoin usually gets a correction, and then at the end of December, it starts going up again. And also, if you look at the Bitcoin monthly returns chart, which I don't have right now, but if you look at it, in 2020, Bitcoin went up like 40-something% during December, and in 2016 it went up like 30% in December. So I'm not saying that we will copy what we did, but it's very likely that we do. And if we get to like 120 to 130k, I would not be surprised. And whenever that happens, by the time it's done, by the time the pump is done, I think the altcoin market will finally start picking up steam, and yeah, HBAR and the other altcoins will start going up even more. Even though HBAR already went up like 10x, I still believe it has potential to get to like $1 or so by the end of the cycle, maybe $1.30. We'll see how bullish it is. And yeah, I mean, if Bitcoin gets to 255k by the end of the cycle, which I'm expecting to happen in November of 2025 or maybe October or so, then of course HBAR should be able to at least break all-time highs. Now, I know, the 255k prediction is unrealistic. Maybe it's unrealistic. To me, it's not, especially if you look at the monthly chart. I mean, the monthly RSI is barely overbought, and we are at about 100k, which is insane. If you look at where the RSI was in the previous cycles after we topped, I mean, does this right here look like this right here? I don't think so. So it's possible to get to 255k by the end of next year, in my opinion. Call me crazy if you want, but I think it's possible. And I think it's actually very, very realistic. So yeah, if you want to buy HBAR right now, I mean, this is not financial advice. But me personally, I would not FOMO in after it already went up like 10x, because this could always break down and we could always get to like 10 cents or so just to retest the levels right there before getting another pump. So if we somehow break below the 50% extension, it's not going to be the end of the world. Obviously, HBAR would still be above these lows right here, but you have to keep in mind, if we want to stay bullish, we have to stay about 4 cents. And I think that's very doable right now, especially during this market. So even if we get a bigger correction, HBAR is still looking good and it still has potential to go up in 2025. So yeah, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our Discord server where we post multiple updates a day. And yeah, like, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.